Everybody, and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing Donald Trump's impeachment and indictment and how it would work should it get to the Senate, which I think at this point it's probably a done deal. I don't see it not getting to the Senate. Republicans in the House have already said they would. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has already said that he would, or not said that he would vote for impeachment, but has apparently been asking other Republicans if he should call for Trump to resign. And if he did call for Trump to resign, that would be very big news, and I think that would really do a lot for the GOP's anti-Trump wing. I guess for the Democratic Party. As you can see in blue, every Democratic seat is in blue for indictment, and also every Republican I think that I've been able to find that has said they would. There might have been others that I wasn't able to find. Like people that I wouldn't think of, like I don't know. I'm trying to think. Someone that I don't know. A senator from Wyoming. I don't know any senators from Wyoming. So I don't know. Some like random senator. Although Wyoming is a pretty conservative state, so I don't see any senator from Wyoming saying that. But you get the point. Or like I don't. Todd Young from Indiana. Maybe he said that. I don't know. I couldn't find anyone else that said it. I looked up some information, did some research. Couldn't find anyone else. So I have in blue everyone that said that they would that I was able to find. Mitt Romney. Or not necessarily said that they would, but expressed that they might. Basically said that they would without saying that they would. Implied that they would. Implied that what he did was an impeachable offense. You get the point. Mitt Romney. I would be surprised if he didn't vote for impeachment. Or for indictment. He voted for indictment back in was it? It was like February, I think, of 2020, right? In 2020, he voted. So he was the only Republican that did. Even Susan Collins didn't. So I'd be surprised if he didn't. Ben Sass, he probably will. I think he said that he would. Mitch McConnell, that one surprised me. Mitch McConnell, I don't think he necessarily said I'm gonna vote for indictment, but he said that apparently he's expressed pleasure or something like that. Trump's getting impeached, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna vote for it's like what I was saying. Him saying that he's gonna vote for impeachment for indictment without saying that he's gonna vote for indictment. Trying to think. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski both have. I think they were the only two Republicans that voted against Amy Coney Barrett. I might be wrong on that. They were the only two that I saw that voted against Amy Coney Barrett, though. Murkowski might flip to being a Democrat. I talk a little bit, or not being a Democrat, becoming an independent and caucusing with the Democrats. I talk about that a lot in one of my more recent videos. I don't remember the name exactly, but it was talking about why Georgia, or how Georgia, now that Democrats won Georgia, they're definitely favored to win the Senate again in 2022. Anyways, so looking back at this, as you can see, I want to go talk about the Democrats' path to how they could potentially do this. The entire Northeast is blue, which is good for them. I don't see really any senators over here. Maybe Tom Cotton, just because he's a little bit more moderate. Not necessarily even entirely moderate, but a little bit more moderate. But I don't think that he will. I think he'll still vote for to acquit the president. Josh Hawley, I honestly could have said before everything that happened. Now I think that there's I don't see someone that voted to object the election results to then turn around and say, hey, what he did was wrong. But so a couple senators I want to look at. I'm gonna say this before we start. I don't see a path to indictment. I think that there's a good chance that it does happen. I don't know every senator in the U.S. I think like 64 of them. Like I know one senator from Idaho. I don't know any senators from like Mississippi from Louisiana. So I don't know every senator in the U.S. And of the senators I do know, I don't know every single one of them's political beliefs. So I'm not gonna I'm just talking about like the more mainstream senators. Like I'm not gonna know, like I said, how like Mike Crapo from Idaho is gonna vote on this. I'm assuming that it would be conservatively, but because most of these Republican senators have voted with Trump the majority of the time. Anyways, getting on to this. First off, I think is Lindsey Graham. I don't think that he will. I think there's a small chance that he will. He's already been against it. But I think that in light of Mitch McConnell deciding to vote against it, like Mitch McConnell he's been one of Trump's largest allies. He's not only been one of Trump's largest allies, he's been one of the GOP's biggest allies. He's been doing a lot for the GOP. He's been blocking a lot of Democratic bills from getting to the Senate floor. And now he's voting against this. I think that this could be a big thing and could get Lindsey Graham to vote for it. Also, just the fact that because he didn't vote to object, he's been getting I didn't see it, but I did hear about it. Him getting like heckled in an airport by Trump supporters. And I mean like I don't know. We have seen Republicans that have gotten heckled. Not really care about it. Like Mike Pence, hasn't invoked the 25th. I doubt that he will. But like at the riot, people were chanting "Hang Mike Pence," and he didn't invoke the 25th. So I don't necessarily know if Lindsey Graham will do that. Mike Pence didn't try to get Trump out of office. I think that if Kevin McCarthy does vote um for or does call for Trump's removal, then there's a very good chance that Lindsey Graham does. Also, he used to be anti-Trump before Trump got in office, and he was more or less he was still pro-Trump, obviously, when he was debating on the Senate floor about whether or not they should object. He was saying that he was I don't think this is a direct quote. I'm just quoting from memory. He was like I think like I said, this is not a direct quote, but he said he was praying that Donald Trump or that Joe Biden lost the election, which is clearly a very pro-Trump statement. We don't know. They could just be playing politics. But I think that there is a decent chance that he does vote like this, especially now that Mitch McConnell has said that he will, and the fact that Trump supporters seem to hate him now. Not all Trump supporters, but some at least, like those ones that I was talking about. Next up, Marco Rubio, just because he's more moderate, he's a lot more moderate. He actually had, when he was running for president in 2016, I was watching the debates a couple months ago, and he had like a liberal tax plan, which I found interesting. His tax plan would be liberal, but especially since he's been actually, I might go make all these likely all the ones that are Republicans just so we can see. Just I found that interesting. That was just a little side note. Anyways, I think that he could, like I said, he's a lot more moderate. I don't necessarily know of any stories where it's been directly affecting him. I haven't heard of any. I might be wrong about that. But like I said, I haven't heard of any. But I do think that there's a good chance that he does, especially with Mitch McConnell now saying, or now with Mitch McConnell being in favor of impeachment. Oh yeah, Pat Toomey. Now that Mitch McConnell is also in favor of impeachment, I think that there's a decent chance that it does happen. Now, at this point, I'm struggling. This is the point where I come to where I'm struggling to find, if I'm trying to get Democrats, or I'm trying to find a way for Democrats to do it. This is the point where I'm struggling to find senators that would. As I said, I don't know every U.S. senator. I only know one senator from Tennessee, one senator from Indiana, one senator from Arkansas, that being Tom Cotton. And I don't know every U.S. senator. I know most of them. I actually don't know what's it called? Indictment number, I guess. I don't know enough to indict. If I were to somehow be like, I can indict, I don't know, somebody, and if I name these senators, I couldn't do that. But at this point, I'm just looking at top Republicans who could, and I don't see really any paths. A couple seats that I've been looking at, Ron Johnson's seat. I might have said that for him to be able to try and win in Wisconsin in 2022, he might vote for indictment, as it did vote for Joe Biden, and it might be a way to get a little bit of crossover support. But he clearly doesn't care about winning in 2022. In fact, he was saying that he was going to object the election results, which is, I don't know why he would do that. A lot of the times it seems like a lot of these people, like Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, it seemed like a lot of them were playing politics, so they could get a few political points for 2024 when they wanted to run, or looking like they're going to want to run. Ron Johnson, I don't see why he would do that unless he genuinely does believe that the election results should be objected. In which case that he is most likely going to lose, especially as the voters of Wisconsin would not want their senator saying that their votes didn't matter, especially considering that Wisconsin was one of the states that put Joe Biden over the edge. So I would think that maybe Ron Johnson would vote for it if it weren't for him. If it weren't for me feeling like he doesn't care about winning in 2022, I think that if you were to go from going, we need to object, to going, like, hey, let's indict the guy, I feel like that's kind of insane. I don't think that it will happen. At this point, I am struggling to find support. We could see if Ossoff and Warnock are sworn in time. I doubt that they'll be sworn in by whenever it goes to the Senate. I don't think that that will happen. Unless results are certified. I don't know if they are. I haven't seen that yet. But results would need to be certified in all the counties in the state really quickly for them to be able to swear them in, and I don't think that it'll happen. Like I said, I'm struggling to find votes here. I think that at this point, this is showing that a lot of these voters or a lot. So here's the thing. I'm just gonna go get to this. I think that a lot of these top Republicans, both now and in 2020, when they voted for indictment or when they voted for acquitting the president. I think that a lot of them want it. I think that a lot of them would have voted, or I don't want to say would have voted for indictment. I think that a lot of them, in their minds, wanted indictment because all you have to realize in both Democrats and Republicans, there's the political them and then there's the personal them. Mitch McConnell is now putting personal him into political him, saying that now he apparently this is just people. I don't know who's saying it, but people have said that apparently he blames Trump for losing the Republicans the Senate, and I think that a lot of those Republican senators personally wanted him indicted, but couldn't do it for their political futures. And now, a lot of these Republicans, I think a lot of these Republicans are saying, like, I don't care at this point. This man incited a riot that threatened our lives. Like I said, Mike Pence didn't seem to care really when these rioters were chanting "Hang Mike Pence." But I think that a lot of these Republican senators, especially the more moderate ones, that are kind of standing up and being like, yeah, this isn't okay. Like Ben Sass, are kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of mad. I don't necessarily see someone like Tommy Tuberville, definitely not Tommy Tuberville, saying, hey, this is not fun, I'm gonna vote for indictment. But I think that a lot of these more moderates could. One person that I forgot to look at that I wanted to talk about is Rand Paul. I think that he might. He and Susan Collins have voted with Trump the least out of any Republicans, at least in the Senate, might be in Congress in general, which obviously would lead you to think that he would. The thing about Rand Paul is he's more like a libertarian in the Republican Party, and libertarians want a lot more personal freedom, or at least that's kind of like the main. That's like libertarianism very broadly. That's not like libertarianism, but just to put it simply, libertarians typically want more personal freedoms, and that might be a large reason that Trump, or that he's voted with Trump the least, because Democrats want more personal freedoms on some issues, and Republicans want more personal freedoms on other issues. Democrats want the freedom to be able to have an abortion and the freedom to be able to do marijuana, while Republicans want the freedom to own guns and not to wear masks, which is, I'm saying Republicans and Democrats. Generally, it's, or at least liberal, I don't want to say liberals because not all liberals do and not all conservatives do, but like the typical liberal and conservative ideologies have those in them, I guess is the right term. And Rand Paul, I guess, would just vote with whichever one he aligned with the most, which would I guess be the one that's I don't want to say giving people the most freedom because that's not realistic. Like he wouldn't give someone the freedom to like murder somebody. But in a general situation where it's actually like either way you could vote in it and it wouldn't make you seem like a crazy person, he's gonna typically vote on the one that restricts like government control. So I don't necessarily know that he would vote to take the president out of office. Um, but I do think that he might see like inciting a riot on the Capitol building as like a bad thing. I don't think that he necessarily will vote for indictment. I don't think that a lot of these people will. I think that, like I said, I don't know every senator in the U.S. Senate. Like I said, I know the majority of them, but I don't know every one of them. I know like I think it was 64 when I last checked. So I don't know every U.S. senator. So there might be some. So I almost said Oklahoma. I know both of the senators. There might be some senator from. I'm trying to think of a moderate state that would potentially do it. Arkansas is not moderate. But you get the point. If there might be some moderate senator in some state that I wouldn't think of that might vote for the indictment of the president, which could definitely help. And I think that with Mitch McConnell doing all this, but anyways, doing all this could help. Anyways, back to what I was saying earlier, like way earlier, there's personal politics, and then there's like what you actually go out and say as a politician. And I think that they go out and say as a politician what most of the Republican base wants to hear. The majority of the Republican base supports Donald Trump. Donald Trump did better with Republicans in 2020 than he did in 2016. And I think that a lot of these Republicans are wary as to whether or not they should, as they don't want to lose their jobs. Because in politics, it's not just you do what you think is right and you don't do what you think is wrong. It's like you do what can get you reelected. Because obviously, while that's not necessarily great for politics on both sides of the aisle, you also don't want to lose your job, obviously. But I can't necessarily find much more. Like I said, there could be some random senator from Wyoming that I'm not thinking of. And I don't know the political beliefs of every last senator. Like I can kind of infer based on how they did, how well they did, and in what states they did, how well they did. But I haven't studied Dan Sullivan's political beliefs. Sorry, Dan Sullivan, but I haven't. So at this point, it's getting a little bit difficult for me to find senators who might vote against it, and I couldn't find any more when I looked it up. It seems to be that the majority of these senators that are voting against it are more recognizable in name. Like we know Mitt Romney, we know Ben Sasse, we know Susan Collins, we know Lisa Murkowski, we know Mitch McConnell. They seem to be more big name Republicans, and we might see other smaller Republicans vote for it, especially if Kevin McCarthy. He doesn't even have to call for Trump's removal. He just, I guess that would definitely prompt a lot of these Republicans to do that. But I think that he should he even look like he's gonna consider it. Sorry, I just knocked something to the floor. But should he look like he's even going to consider it, I think that could convince a lot of Republican senators to vote for the indictment of the president. The only problem, like I said, if these Republicans do that, is they would have to find a way to still appeal to that Trump base. And I think that right now the GOP is in a really tough spot. A lot of these senators don't necessarily like Trump. I think that a lot of them just pretended to like Trump as the base loved Trump, and now the base loves him, and now they've become these people to the base where it looked like I think that at this point they had the GOP said, like, had the GOP rejected Trump, they would be in a better spot right now, as I don't think a lot of these Republicans agree with Trump, and they wouldn't be having to pretend to agree with Trump. A lot of these Republicans do, like Tommy Tuberville probably agrees with Trump on a lot of these issues, but like I don't necessarily think that Marco Rubio or Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell agree with Trump on a lot of these issues. But now they've pretended to the point where they have to, if they want to be able to get reelected, and I think that's put the GOP in a really tough spot. And I think that'll honestly give the Democrats a really nice path because in most of these battleground states, like you look at Florida, Florida's a bad example because the Democratic Party there is really bad. Trying to think of a battleground state where the Democratic Party isn't awful. Anyways, let's just say even the Democratic Party in Florida might be able to do it. But if it's between Marco Rubio, assuming that the Trump base forgets about him, and some Trump style conservative in the primaries. Actually no, Florida's a bad example. In Michigan, if it's between in the primaries between a Trump style conservative and a moderate conservative, then that could be awful for the GOP as or at least because the GOP is going to elect the Trump style conservative. Because like I said, the GOP, while the people at the top of the GOP might be trying to move away from Trumpism, the base loves Trump and they love Trumpism. They're going to they're going to run a candidate like that, and then Democrats aren't going to have too much of a problem winning. Instead of Florida, that's shifting to the right, they might have more of a problem winning. But other than that, I think that that will not at all be a good thing for the GOP. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. I know this video was a bit of me just going on a bit of a tangent and just talking about impeachment and how it could happen and why it probably won't. So sorry about that. It's like 22 minutes of me just talking about that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye.